Shortly after Half-Life 2, when hordes of gamers were crying in agony over yet another G-Man hijacked ending, with absolutely nothing left resolved, Valve decided they'd get into episodic gaming to string out the torture a bit longer. Okay, perhaps torture is a bit much, but it is fair to say that while this episode raises many intriguing questions, it still answers almost none of them. While heading to the destabilized core of the Citadel to buy ourselves time, several new points of intrigue are raised. First, Judith Mossman. Last time we saw her, she was cuddling up with Eli. Now, a few short hours later, Eli is in a safe location, and Judith is off somewhere pretty cold. Judging by the puffy coat over her sweater, where is she headed, and for what purpose? In addition, this data packet that makes us such targets. What is it? What's in there? The Combine was so desperate to send their allies across the void, and for that matter, that horrific grub-like creature with psychic powers is one of the creatures we saw Breen talk to back in Half-Life 2, but the fact that they are definitively on Earth, with us, raises questions. Before, they could have passed for leaders of the Combine, but now, can they still? Would creatures at the absolute top of the command chain situate themselves on this planet when they could easily overlook things from another universe? The biology of such creatures is also interesting. Giant grubs could not physically survive in most environments, but it's safe to say that every aspect of their lives is handled technologically, perhaps even their psychic powers. Mark Laidlaw, the writer, said he wanted to evoke the feeling of creatures who had crossed the singularity. The singularity being a state in which a society has advanced its technology so much that every aspect of their lives would seem alien to that same society when technology was not at the place it is now. So picture how inscrutable we would be to a Neanderthal, and that's sort of what we're looking at here with these grubs. The fact that these grubs are so clearly technologically advanced makes the relative ramshackle tech of the Earth-based Combine all the more glaring, which adds further credence to these creatures not being as important as it might seem. In addition, the Zombine raise new questions about the nature of both headcrabs and the transhumans themselves. They are infected only with normal headcrabs, but are much faster and stronger than normal zombies, which is obviously due to the transhuman implants, but they are still capable of talking, saying things like, "Sector is not secure," "Necrotics inbound," "Help me," "shit," and other Combine chatterings. However, if you manage to dislodge the headcrab, you'll see that the Zombine have no head. This can't be to preserve the mystery of the transhumans, because we saw one on a screen in Nova Prospect. So, are the transhumans so stripped of their humanity that they can function without a human brain, and talk without a human mouth? Or are the headcrabs capable of completely replacing the brain of a creature rather than just imposing itself upon it? Are the Zombine still conscious and radioing their allies, or are the headcrabs parroting bits of speech they have consumed, as it were? All stuff to think about. Also the Vortigons, what is going on with them? Nothing but crowbar fodder in Half-Life 1. Mystical comic relief in Half-Life 2, they've suddenly revealed that they are so powerful as to directly mess with the G-Man himself, and by proxy confirms that they know about him. Where could this power have come from? My fiancé notes that in Half-Life 1 the Vortigons were all slaves of the Nihilanth, with those collars suppressing their will. In Half-Life 2 we see a Vortigon sweeping up the train station still wearing one of those collars, implying that the Combine have had them enslaved too. Could it be that with the uprising, Vortigons were freed en masse, or that the damage Gordon did to the Citadel disabled their suppression devices somewhere along the way? Could it be that the Vortigons become more powerful with numbers, and just enough of them were able to band together to free Gordon from the G-Man's clutches? But this just raises the other question: who is playing for who? G-Man has obviously been very shady about his purposes, but seems to be working against the Combine. When he released Gordon into the world, he caused great damage to them. The Vortigons also opposed the Combine, or claimed to, and yet they seem to oppose the G-Man, freeing Gordon, his best weapon, from his grasp. Perhaps the G-Man is not anti-Combine after all. Were Gordon not around in Episode 1, Alex would have died and the Combine message would have been relayed much sooner, which in Episode 2 we see would have made all the difference. However, without Gordon, the rebellion was a token effort at best, and humanity would eventually have died out. Perhaps G-Man is not interested in Combine victory, but in hastening humanity's destruction? Or perhaps he is still anti-Combine, but not pro-Earth. Perhaps he simply wants to lure the greater bulk of the Combine military to Earth, while he and his people strike the Combine from elsewhere. We just don't know. Either way, it was to take 2 years before we got another glimpse into this world, and a chance to answer a few, read none at all, of these questions. I'll see you there.